everyone. Welcome to Maker Spotlight with Oh You're Lovely. My name is Maggie Cullen. I am the Wholesale Director for Oh You're Lovely. And today we have with us Jessica Cruikshank of My Wood Flowers, also Cruikshank Farms. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And she is based out of Ohio. Welcome, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So just to kind of kick things off, I would love if you could tell us a little bit about when you started your business. I know it started as one thing, has evolved to two now. Would love to hear about that and when you started as well.
Yeah. So I started in 2016. I had a baby. I kind of felt like I was losing myself as I was losing my personal identity and I was becoming mom and I was no longer Jessica. It was that weird phase that I feel like a lot of moms go through.
Yeah.
And I decided that I wanted to start making some things as gifts for coworkers, for family. I started out making wax melts because I found out I was having allergic reactions to the big box store wax melts, and I found out I was allergic to paraffin. And then I found out a lot of people around me are also allergic to paraffin. So that's kind of how Cruikshank Farms was born. Was we started with the wax melts, we added candles. My husband welds, so he welds up metal artwork, horseshoe owls and stars and things like that.
Yeah.
And then slowly it evolved into a retail location.
Mhm.
And I wanted to find something that would complement the candles and the melts, something home decor wise. And that's when I found wood flowers, and it just seamlessly added into everything.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome. That's awesome. So do you still have that retail location?
I do. That's where I'm at today. We're in Gomer, Ohio on the historic Lincoln Highway.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, we haven't. So I know this is your full-time gig, right?
Yeah, it
Um,
is now.
and we haven't talked to many people who actually own their own brick and mortar, and I know that's a whole
Mhm.
other side of things. So can you tell us a little bit about that and how it differs from, obviously working out of your home as a creator, but being in a retail location, and are you working with other vendors and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it definitely has its own challenges. A big one is the time constraint because you want to be in your like art space and creating and doing all the things, but you also need to be in a location at the same time. So currently, I'm actually working out of my home creating, and then I bring my things up to the retail location. So we kind of have a unique setup to where in this building, my parents also own a pizza shop. So
Oh,
in the building, my brother has his real estate, my parents have their pizza, and then I've got my home decor. So it's a sectioned off building, but as the pizza place is open, my mom can say, "Oh, hey, go check out my daughter's candles and wood flowers." And it makes it, a very nice, cohesive thing that
right,
it's adding value to their business as well as mine.
right.
And I do have a few local friends that are creatives that, I have one that makes soaps and I have her things up here. And it seems like anytime there's another creative that wants to join in, I love having them.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, and that must be
yeah.
helpful having kind of this like little family corner. Um, because, are you having to like
It
staff
is.
or yeah, are you having to staff your retail location or are they helping out with that
Right.
sort of stuff? Like you're one person creating, selling,
Right.
doing all the things.
Oh yeah, there's so many different hats with it. So right now I focus on doing one open house weekend.
Oh,
So like I'll be open a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night.
yeah.
Do like a 4 to 9. That way I'm here. I will flip it for the holidays. Right now I have a lot of fall. We're working on flipping to the, Christmas and holiday decor and all that. So it definitely does create a challenge trying to be one person and be at 10 places at once.
Hmm.
But it's worked out for me.
Yeah.
A lot of my followers know that once a month I'll be here. Every once in a while, I haven't done a lot of craft shows this year just because that's another thing with a small business is that I can, if my family needs some help in different areas, I can say, I got to step back from the craft shows for a minute and then add in some more hours here at the retail location. It just works out really well for us.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, that is part of why you go into business for yourself, right? Is to be able to
Oh
set
yeah.
that tone and do those things. You
Yeah.
forget that you end up working more than you would maybe at a 9 to
Oh
5,
yeah.
but you have
For sure.
more flexibility, like to do what you need
Yeah.
to outside of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
I was looking at your social media, and obviously we'll link all your pages and all that good stuff. But
Yeah.
I saw you. Are you still looking for, or have you found a personal assistant to help you, or just an assistant to help you with everything that you need to get done?
I actually did find an assistant.
That's awesome.
It was very strange. I had never used the Facebook job search function,
Mm-hmm.
and I had posted a job, kind of explained what I needed.
Yeah.
I kind of need somebody that can wear all the hats that I wear
Mhm.
and that can jump from task to task. And that's really hard to find somebody. And
Yeah.
I actually had a local girl apply within an hour,
Wow.
and we had a little interview, and she started the next week, and she has been great. She's worked for me since she started the first Monday of October. So she's been with me a month now, and it's been really, really good.
That's great. That's great. How have
Yeah.
you found you know, because there are challenges as well as benefits to, managing an employee, and especially one where, like,
Oh, yeah.
you said 2016 was when you started doing this yourself. So there's kind of
Yes.
like this balance of, like, what am I willing to let go? What can I let go of? Like, how have you found that, like, whole, unknown area to be?
It was definitely hard. It was
Mhm.
hard even putting the job posting out because I didn't I didn't want to like give away my heart that goes into my craft
Right.
and, make it less personal. But the thing is, I came to the realization that I needed help.
Mhm.
So I think once I hit that point, it was a lot easier to let things go. Um, so I have her doing a lot of prep work with the
Mhm.
candles. I have her wick jars. I have her put lids on after I pour. Um, I actually gave her a little challenge and just gave her some greenery in a box and let her kind of make her own thing to see kind of a starting point.
That's
So I
awesome.
think it's going to be a lot of fun to see where she goes from that starting point in a
Yeah.
year from now, how she's going to be. So, but it's definitely been a challenge. I just think it's good to realize that you need the help because I
Yeah.
think a lot of us have a hard time accepting that and knowing that we need help and
Yeah.
then letting it go. And
Yeah.
it's been very good that she she's just a natural artist. So
Yeah.
it's been very nice that she can kind of just run with things. I show her something once, off she goes. I think it'd be a lot more challenging if I had to sit there and, re-explain things, hold hands, do that kind of job. But she's made it really easy for me.
That's
So,
awesome. That's awesome. So is she
yeah,
working with you in your home studio, or is she?
she's at home with me right now. So,
Very
pretty
cool.
soon, in about the next 6 months, we're going to expand. There's another section of the building that's currently rented, but he is moving out. So, we're going to add roughly 1,000 square foot, and it's three separate, well, technically four separate rooms. I'm going to have a bridal consult area for my wood flowers. I'm going to have a candle room, a flower dyeing room, and then an assembly room where we're going to assemble bouquets and things.
Cool, cool.
So
That's awesome. So
yeah,
you have
it'll be a lot
seen
of fun.
a lot of growth since you started. I
Oh
would
yeah.
love to hear about, some of the things that were really exciting along the way, and some of the things that maybe when you started you weren't realizing came with that type of growth over the years.
Yeah. So something I always tell my husband every time I finish a wedding, obviously we just finished the fall 2022 wedding season.
Yeah.
So everybody knows how crazy that can be if you're involved. And I always tell my husband, I'm like, wow, that first wedding bouquet that I ever made, I think took me a whole month. I think between the coming back, I think it took a whole month just to do one bouquet.
Yeah.
And now the skill and the speed is there to where you can do multiple weddings in a week if need be.
Yeah.
So I think that's been an interesting growth to look at.
Yeah.
But I have had two really exciting experiences that I don't remember which year it was. I believe it was 2020. It was 2019. A photographer from HGTV contacted me, and I created a centerpiece for her to take into an HGTV home. And she photographed it, sent me images. So that was really fun. So I can say I was featured on HGTV.
Very cool.
So that was very, very exciting for me. And
That's
then
huge
the other
that's huge
thing,
in the home decor section.
oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And it was so fun because I love the images. Everybody loves the pictures. It's such a nice piece that everybody can enjoy.
Yeah.
So, but I did have a really cool experience before, you know, the COVID shutdown of 2020. A mother had reached out to me about doing just a bridal bouquet, kind of sent me an inspiration picture, you know, as a typical, you know, everything. And I send it to her and I send her some images. It's before I had sent the bouquet, and I was sending some pre-shots to get her okay on it. And she said that her sister was a judge on the United States Supreme Court in DC, and she was actually buying the bouquet for her daughter for her wedding at the Supreme Court. So her daughter was one of the last weddings to happen at the Supreme Court before the shutdown in 2020. Wow. So that's like one of those goosebump experiences that, you know, you don't ever expect, you know.
Yeah,
a couple big things a couple years in a row were really awesome.
That's so exciting.
It was
amazing stories that like you will always have. You will always have.
Oh yeah,
those as like part of your story.
Oh, for sure.
So, you know, you mentioned, you know, it was the last wedding before the shutdown. You have a brick and mortar store. We know things were impacted, but I know that it also, you know, the pandemic like highlighted shopping local and those sorts of things. So, you know, how I don't know, I'm guessing it wasn't great at the beginning, but how did it turned out okay? So
it did. So at that point, I had my brick and mortar, and I was also partnered up with, I believe it was 5 other shops at that time where I did consignment. So to go from 6 streams of physical shopping income to all of a sudden nothing was very nerve-wracking. And I know a lot of local creatives were very stressed. The shop owners didn't know what they were doing. We didn't know, should we get our things out? Should we put them all online? What should we do? But like you said, the shutdown really highlighted shopping local, supporting your local shops. And it actually, since I had an online presence at that time, April and May and June were some of my biggest months that year. And it was strictly online on my website. And I definitely think it's because everybody was pushing to shop local.
Yeah.
Really
now, have you been shipping throughout your like journey? Like, have you been shipping cross country? Or did that become something you added on at some point during your journey?
I would say the first year I didn't do much shipping, but once you realize that you know, you've got a nice product that somebody in California or somebody on the East Coast or, you know, even Canada or Australia or overseas, I think it's very important for small shops to take that step and realize that they need to expand their horizons if they are able to. So it definitely makes a big difference, because I have shipped a lot to Canada. I have shipped to Australia. I did have one go to England. So yeah,
that's fun.
Kind of
we could probably do a whole like episode on international shipping. Well, I'll talk to you
yeah, for
when I
sure.
get to writing that blog. We'll talk for sure.
Okay.
Bat
Yes.
numbers and all of that kind of stuff,
Oh, oh yeah. Crazy.
So you have your hands in a lot of different things, a lot of different creative outlets between home decor, weddings, the candles, wax melts, all of that. What's I know it's hard to pick a favorite child, but do you have a favorite of those mediums to work with?
You know, they're each special in their own way. But I would say probably the flowers because I feel like I spend so much time creating unique pieces, especially when it comes to weddings.
Yeah.
It's such an intimate thing to work with a couple and get their vision right and really dive into it.
Yeah.
So I would say overall, probably the wood flowers.
Yeah. 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 It is fun to turn someone's imagination, their vibe into a reality.
It is.
It's very cool. Do you have a
Yes.
favorite wedding style? Like boho, I feel like you're a boho chic.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little boho. I'm a little, wild round. You know, I like the greens. I like the grasses. I like all of it. It's just so much fun and so versatile and being able
Yeah,
to just create something unique and fun.
I love that. I love that. Um, so um so one question I have is because you have, Cruikshank Farms and Mywood Flowers, and they seem to be separate but still together.
Yeah.
How did you work on your branding for that? Like, do you have different social media pages for both? But do you do crossovers? Like, how do you work on the branding? Obviously one is home decor-esque and one is weddings. Just curious how you manage,
Yeah.
because managing one social media outlet is a lot. So,
Oh, it is.
you
Yeah.
know,
So there definitely is some crossover. I started with having my logo made as a C with a bunch of flowers in the corner. And
mhm,
then I have two logos. One has the C with Cruikshank Farms underneath. The other has a C with My Wood Flowers underneath.
yeah,
That way, the C with a bunch of flowers is kind of the visual logo, but
yep,
then you know which one we're talking about.
yeah,
Um, that was definitely a challenge, whether I wanted to rebrand when I added the wood flowers and
right,
create just one large company. But I decided to keep my wood flowers separate because a lot of brides, grooms, couples don't necessarily want to see my candles and my melts and all the metal art. A lot of them literally just want to be there for the flowers. They want to look at florals and that's it. So that's kind of why I decided to name them separate and divide them a little bit. I
yep,
do cross over some occasional posts will go on both pages, but
yeah,
I try to keep it fairly divided with wedding and then home decor.
yeah, yeah.
So,
No, I mean that reasoning makes a lot of sense. Like, your target audience for each, and sometimes
yeah,
when you're doing too much and you're not kind of paring it down to focus on
yeah,
that target audience, like it can be too much. So it makes sense. I
yeah.
just
And
hats off to you
they can
because
get overwhelmed too. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
So one of my favorite questions to ask all of our makers is what advice would you give to someone who's trying to become their own, small business owner, go into entrepreneurship? What kind of advice would you give to them?
I think a big chunk of advice would be to find somebody local to you
Mhm.
because creating a business in your own state, let alone county and township, is all different. Or, your city. Everybody has different vendor requirements, licensing. I think it's very important to become legit when you want to start a business because if you don't start right, it's going to make it really hard when it comes to like tax time. If you get an audit, that's a whole nother thing. I could go on and on about, just, creating fine lines and creating it right. And then I think besides finding kind of a mentor locally, I think it's important to kind of find what you love to do and what you're good at.
Yeah.
Because not everybody is good at everything, and that's okay to admit. I'm not good at certain things. Find what you love to do, find what you're good at doing, and then run with it. I
Yeah.
think that's important.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I think both of those things are so incredibly important to
Mhm.
think about, and it does help to have someone to bounce things off of,
Oh yeah.
like, have you tried this? Have you done this? Does it work? Does it not? Just like, especially
Yes.
someone who knows the area that you're in, for sure.
Yes. And I think that comes with time too. When I first started, I probably had two or three vendor friends, and now I have so many resources, so many friends I've worked with. That even opens the door to collaborating. I
Yeah.
have a pottery maker I work with, and she makes vases for me or mugs, and I can put flowers in. I've got this really fun Mother's Day setup coming up for next year. And, I think it's really cool to work with others and boost them. I think it's
Yeah.
important to boost them and, good karma.
For sure. I think my favorite part is that you've already started planning for Mother's Day next year. Um, I
Right?
love when, I love hearing like people are prepping months out, because,
Yes.
it's we're there. Like, I've already said,
Yeah.
we're done with the year. I know it's not done because we're
No,
still
it's
in
true.
November, but like, business
Yeah.
wise, I'm at Valentine's Day already next year,
Yeah.
because we work
Yeah,
with flowers, and that's one of the biggest days. So um
for sure.
I think that's amazing. My last question, we talked a little bit about the new and exciting, space that you're going to be moving into, but the last question I want to ask you is, what's going on new for you? Is there anything up and coming you wanted to share here? Is there anything else you wanted to touch on? Because we're getting ready to wrap up here.
Mhm. I don't know. It's just been such an exciting year, like you said, with the expansion happening, and I'm very excited to move things out of my home. I think as crafters, we all know our craft can, it's very fluid, and it will go to your kitchen table and go, into your
Mhm.
kitchen and all
I
over.
don't
And
I don't think
I,
there's a room in my house untouched right now.
no, no. So I think that's what I'm most excited for this year, is to finally feel like I have an assistant, I have designated spaces. It's a calming feeling to know that we're moving towards good goals.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's important to make goals for yourself. I used to think at the beginning of the business, back in 2016, that, oh, you just have an idea and you run with it. And like you said, with Valentine's Day and Mother's Day, you
Mhm.
really have to plan ahead. Um, I think it's important to find people like Oh You're Lovely to have quality products that will ship to you quickly, somebody you can rely on when it comes to that kind of thing. And I don't know, it's just fun. It's fun thinking about the next thing and
I love that.
moving forward with it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to be following your adventure, following your journey.
Thank
Like I said, we
you.
have your social media links up. So I'm super excited to see your new space once you're in there.
Yeah.
And that's it from our end. So thank you all for watching. Again, you want to check out Jessica Cruikshank, who's here with me today from My Wood Flowers, also Cruikshank Farms. If you're looking for some home decor, based out of Ohio, we really appreciate you coming on today. And for any of you
Thank
watching,
you.
if you are interested in being a maker that we spotlight here at Oh You're Lovely, we will have a link in the captions that you can apply for. So thanks again, Jessica. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you.